Hello, and this goes out to Kevin. Kevin, thank you very much for your information, and you put obfuscation. I am doing this. My name is Daryl Guberman. I'm the CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. This goes out to both Kevin and Nico and so many others. A little bit of education. I'm sure, Kevin, you understand this word. I'm sure you do too as well, Nico, but this is for the novice. This is what our politicians do. This is what the quality control and whether it's aerospace, medical, whether it's automotive, etc., and other industries. This is the word that is the precursor to quality deficiencies. When something happens, people will say the action of making something obscure, unclear, or unintelligible. And I'm going to give this to you now. I'm going to give you examples of this going through the American National Standards Institute, the American National Crediting Board, which is the underwriter for Boeing. They're the underwriter, they're mandated by Boeing, and that's why their quality is in the trash. So whether Mr. Robert Kelly Ortbert is rolling up his sleeves and walking down the aisle, they don't have Daryl Guberman on board. Yes, you know, some people say, Daryl, you're a little bit quirky. Of course I am. Being involved with quality, having integrity, honesty, and the truth be the lifeblood of what makes Daryl who I am and what I do. Well, let's continue. As you know, I was supporting Sam Salipar on Capitol Hill when I wasn't supposed to get up. I waited until the last person spoke from MIT, and then I said, Committee Chair, Senator Blumenthal, I've got something to say, and I said it, and then Richard said to me, sit down or we'll throw you out. And I said, Richard, how can you throw me out? You were over my house when I was a kid, Sylvia. So let's continue first now with another obfuscation. This is what obfuscation is. Definition of accreditation. Certification of competence in the specified subject or areas of expertise and the integrity of an agency, firm, group, or person awarded by duly recognized and respected accreditation organization. Kevin, I have something to ask you. Can you say that ANSI ANAB, with what Boeing has been up with listen, in 2002, Boeing had ANSI ANAB on their supplier bulletin that stated you must be AS 9100 and have ANSI ANAB accreditation. Number 2 is on the supplier portal, Boeing supplier portal. They say ANSI ANAB or internationally equivalent. They're a third-party register, okay? And then to make matters even better, Kevin, is that Boeing sits on the management committee board at ANSI ANAB that can grant, suspend, and take away the certification. I've never seen it done in my 40-plus years, ever. But this is pure bullshit, absolutely, without a doubt, accreditation. Now we're going to read something that came right off the ANAB website back in the day, probably about, I would say this goes back probably about 2018 or so. And those people who paid for an ANAB certificate, I've tried to tell people, but Daryl, Boeing and Lockheed won't let me in. Well, let me tell you something. They're breaking the Sherman-Clayton Act. And what does that say about your organization? You're culpable by association with that type of certificate. Is your certificate accredited? If your certificate was issued by an ANAB, ANSI ANAB accredited certification body, registration company, the answer to this question is probably yes. So you're spending some good money on a piece of paper that is meaningless. Daryl, but it gets me into Boeing. Well, you see their quality? That quality that Boeing has reflects on your business, especially when Boeing gave up supplier auditing for 22 years to your AS 9100 certificate, accredited by ANSI ANAB. ANSI is the American National Standards Institute, is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation. It has both federal agencies and corporations on board. Randy Doherty, here he is, giving the keys to the kingdom away to Zhao Jinwu. Zhao Jinwu over here has been involved with our quality since 1994. He's a communist national. He also was watching over, he was a chairman from 2015 to 21 of the IAF, which is incorporated in Delaware. It is an association of accreditation bodies, both national and international, and ANSI ANAB are underwriters for IAF. And ANSI ANAB founded IAF. They're the founding members of the International Accreditation Forum. Their sister organization, though, ILAC, International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation in Australia, they are still responsible for any failures in the system, systematic or product. ANSI took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. During this time, with federal agencies and corporations on board, ANSI-ANAB sat as a member on the organization that they founded, the IAF. So there was a lot of hacking or giving our data away, as my friend Rich would say. As I told you, that ANSI is the founding member of the IAF, and they are underwriters. There it is. To show you a federal contract where the Department of State is allowing Communist China into their hallways and wherever they are in the world. Here is the actual number of the one of the many contracts we have that show on this that they are an underwriter, and it states ANAB, ANSI-ANAB is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Forum. That means they take all systematic and product failures. Over here, you want to hear about obfuscation. This came right off the ISO website. Here you go. I'll turn it this side. It says, choosing a certification body. Check if it is accredited. Accreditation is not compulsory, and non-accreditation does not necessarily mean it is not reputable, but it does provide independent confirmation of competence. Does Boeing with ANSI-ANAB sitting on their board, calling it out on the supplier portal, and also on their supplier bulletin, does that show confirmation and the confidence of quality for ANSI-ANAB? Does it? I'm asking you a question. In 2013, I gave a speech at the American Society for Quality New Haven and also Fairfield County branches. We had a Mr. Dave Levy there who was sent there to destroy me, Kevin, and he could not do it. As you know from all my videos that I am well versed in this quality quagmire. He said that, down here, he said that Dave Levy said, there is no restriction on you doing business unaccredited or accredited. And as I said before, ANAB has no problem with you and what you're doing. In fact, we support you, sir. And you know what the problem is? My certificates were trying to get into Boeing. Now they get in second party. They don't go in first. But they suppressed me. ANSI-ANAB suppressed me, and then you have the Region 3 director from ASQ, which owned at the time ANAB 50%, and the American National Standards Institute owned them 50%. And then in 2016, Randy, who you saw handing over the keys to the kingdom to Zhao Jinwu, who at the time now is, Zhao Jinwu was the chairman or the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services also, that certified the ill-prepared lab in Wuhan, China, that released the COVID virus. You also have the factor that he was the chairman of the IF as well at the same time. He invited us to join. But I have a question for you. I know you're a veteran, Kevin. I know you're proud of that. Why do you think I didn't join that? Because they had a communist Chinese national who's mandated to take your data, okay, through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. And here we go. This is the actual document that says this from Boeing. From the FAA, basically. The FAA increased the authority of Boeing's Commercial Airplanes Division to self-certify its own aircraft. 2009. In 2019, Kevin, it stated this. In response to questions, Gregory Martin, the FAA spokesperson, said in an email, FAA has never allowed companies to police themselves or self-certify. You found something wrong? And here goes the pièce de résistance. You have Boeing sitting on the board. You have the U.S. Department of Transportation sitting on the board. You have the FAA sitting on ANSI's board. And this is a kicker. You have the Department of Homeland Security, where I stood up and I was in support of Sam Salipar, and you have them sitting. You have them sitting on ANSI-ANAB's board. So you have the Department of Homeland Security paying a fee to ANSI-ANAB, the accreditation body of Boeing. And here you go. You can't make this up. Telephone number 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS at yahoo.com. And remember this, from David Foster Wallace, the truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you. I thank you, Kevin, very humbly. We may be doing this as a regular video, a little bit lengthy. Thank you.